Howdy, folks. I'm Rowdy Ring Seal, rapidly rolling round rickety reefs.
I'm Amber.
And here are more rickety reefs for us to roll around on, but oops, we fell into the water just like the Reddit stories. Now we're all wet. Let's get started. Alright, folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Embarrassing My Daughter and Getting Movie Day Cancelled? This is a throwaway account to protect the privacy of everyone involved. I'm a 39-year-old female and I have a daughter, Natalie, a 9-year-old female who is in the 3rd grade. Her regular teacher is on medical leave indefinitely after having open heart surgery. Her class is being covered by a long-term sub named Miss C, a 50s female. Miss C is majorly interested in classic movies and shows older, age-appropriate movies on Friday afternoon if the class finished all their work for the week. I am 100% in favor of this. Natalie is very, very sensitive to animal injuries and death. This child cried for an hour after hearing about a giraffe that died in a zoo states away. Although she has been diagnosed with anxiety disorder, her sensitivity isn't the result of trauma or mental illness, it's just who she is. On Thursday, about 1 p.m., Miss C sent out a message on the parent notification app congratulating the students on their hard work and announcing that the students will be watching The Never-Ending Story. For those unfamiliar, The Never-Ending Story contains an especially upsetting scene where a horse dies. A scene like this that would cause a majority of people to choke up could potentially result in a full-on meltdown for Natalie. Natalie knows that movie scenes aren't real and no actual animals are hurt. This is just her response. I messaged Miss C on the app and I briefly told her about Natalie's sensitivity and asked her if she could quietly warn Natalie about the scene and allow her to be excused if she prefers. The scene is around 4 minutes long. I didn't hear anything for about an hour until Miss C made another post on the notification app announcing, rather curtly, that the movie was canceled. No reason was given. I figured that the class was acting up and she had canceled the movie as punishment. When I picked up Natalie from school, she was furious with me. She said that I embarrassed her and got movie day canceled. I asked her what in the world she was talking about. She said that Miss C canceled the movie because some parents objected to the content. While glaring at Natalie, I asked Natalie if she was sure Miss C was talking about her. I never objected to the movie, and I was certainly not trying to imply that she shouldn't be shown it. I explained to her about the horse scene and that I was just trying to keep her from being caught off guard by a sad animal scene. She accepted the explanation, and I told her that I would talk to Miss C. I decided to bypass the notification and I would talk to Miss C in person the next morning to avoid any misunderstandings. I thought that maybe she was having a rough day and would sleep on it and reconsider. I asked her if she really thought I was objecting to the movie. I only wanted my daughter to be prepared for something that could potentially be upsetting for her. Miss C then proceeded to tell me that I was babying Natalie and that life is tough. To be fair, Natalie's excessive emotional displays can be irritating, and I do agree that she will eventually need to learn to control them. But having this sprung on her in school didn't seem like an appropriate time or place to try and toughen her up. But as it turns out, Miss C obviously called Natalie out in front of her peers. That is the part that upset me. Her classmates are upset with me over something that never had to be a big deal in the first place. I know that I should have talked to Natalie before going to the teacher, but you know what they say about hindsight. Now, I'm not sure what to do to make this right. Aside from the incident, Miss C is a great teacher and Natalie enjoys her class. I'm not ready to get the principal involved. Should I have just kept my mouth shut and hoped for the best? Do you guys think that I'm babying Natalie? I just left the meeting with Miss C and I don't want to do anything to add fuel to the fire. All right, folks, what do you think?
I definitely don't think OP was in the wrong here. It was a very simple request. I mean, I went to high school with someone who was excused from, and this was, again, we're high school students, was excused from Forrest Gump. We were watching it in U.S. history because her parents didn't think it was appropriate for her because they were very religious. And, you know, kids can be excused from movies for all kinds of reasons. It's not uncalled for to have a parent express concerns to a teacher and offer the kids an alternative. And so, honestly, I don't think OP handled it in a bad way, and I think the way the teacher handled it was completely inappropriate.
Yeah, and unprofessional.
And unprofessional. Like, you never single out a kid for, you know, having to, have some kind of accommodation in one form or another, because that's essentially what this is.
Yeah.
The daughter has a diagnosed anxiety disorder and is particularly sensitive to animal deaths. And so this is a reasonable accommodation to help her.
So I think that OP should go to the principal.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason why is this. This is the first you're seeing of Miss C's behavior. What other ways has she singled out children that you haven't heard about,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now, she might be a good teacher, and maybe she just made a mistake here, but the fact that she singled out your daughter for something so minor
Mm-hmm.
really concerns me and makes me worried that she may be a little worse of a teacher than OP realizes.
Yeah. Well, it could be just that OP's daughter hasn't been a target of her before, but she
Yeah.
could be targeting other students.
Yeah, and so I'm very concerned about that, and I think that it would be a good idea for them to kind of clear this whole incident up. I guess the hard thing is like, if Missy is actually doing a good job, then like it's hard to find teachers, it's hard to find long-term replacement subs and stuff like that. And I mean, I know that OP doesn't want to like create a rock the boat or anything like that, and I don't know, maybe.
Well, but the teacher also didn't respond to OP because OP did the right thing by going to the teacher
Yeah,
first.
yeah.
And the teacher's response to OP also wasn't good because it was
No.
like, oh, she needs to tough it up and get over this.
Mm-hmm.
And that is not, and I think that OP has exhausted the avenue of like, OP already went to the teacher directly and tried to have a reasonable conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And so the principal is kind of the next person up because if the teacher is that unwilling to see when she's done something wrong,
Mm-hmm.
maybe the principal can have a talk with her and hopefully help her see that what she did is not okay.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And KWS 1461 says, perhaps you could have given your daughter a heads up yourself. Teacher also could have just subbed another movie in if she was uncomfortable showing it. I am a teacher and that teacher was wrong. You tried to talk to the teacher with horrible results. The principal needs to know what happened. Also, I have a highly functional autistic child, and I have done exactly what you did. Give the teacher a heads up about the possibility of breaking down, not the jerk. And OP says that they're posting an update, so we'll end up reading that update here in a second here. And OP replies, I should have talked to my daughter first. I know better next time. And I mean, it might have been better for OP to talk to their daughter anyways first, because like, it would have been good to come from OP and explain about the movie and stuff like that. So, I don't know. But still, I don't think like OP's in the wrong. Let's see what the update has to say. All right, folks. And the update to this one. Update, am I the jerk for embarrassing my daughter and getting movie day canceled? This is an update to the post that I made yesterday after a disastrous meeting with a sub covering my daughter's class after movie day was canceled and my daughter was blamed for it. For some starters, I'm not a helicopter parent. I allow my child age-appropriate freedoms to make their own decisions and sort out their own problems. Natalie knows not to come to me about schoolwork issues until she has talked to her teacher first. She is very brave where it really counts. She has a reputation for standing up to other kids being bullied. Put it this way, no one has ever picked on her little brother and sister more than once. Her sensitivity to animals is the only thing that sets her off like this, with the giraffe incident being the most extreme example that I recall. It's usually seeing dead animals on the side of the road or seeing those animal rescue charities that gets her going. Natalie is not really a TV person and doesn't really like to sit down for full movies at home. She did see The Lion King, but she was about 3 or 4 years old and it didn't really register what was happening. Now about Natalie's class. There are about 5 kids in the class who like to clown around and disrupt things. Natalie tells me that they can be very rude when corrected. Her regular teacher, Miss T, could manage them, but they've been a nightmare for Miss C. I talked to Natalie and asked her to demonstrate what happened, playing the role of Miss C, and she said movie day was canceled because parents objected to the content, while giving me, playing the role of Natalie, a death glare. Natalie said, one of the troublemakers said, hey, it's not my fault this time, while pointing at Natalie and laughing. Miss C did nothing to correct them. Natalie further explained that Miss C started showing the movies to get those kids to behave. It went okay the first week, but Miss C canceled and then reinstated the movie so often that it became a game to those unruly kids. Plus, the kids were starting to complain that Miss C's movie choices were boring and that they should just watch Coco or the Mario Bros. From what I'm piecing together, Miss C was starting to regret the whole movie as a reward system, and my message gave her the out that she needed. I asked Natalie if she wanted to see the Artex scene, just so that she would know what all the fuss was about, and she declined. I believe more out of a lack of interest than anxiety. I didn't push the issue. I'm going to try and talk to her again on Monday morning. If things don't go well, I will get the principal involved. All right, folks, what do you think?
I mean, I think that's fair to give the teacher one last chance. That's really not cool if the teacher is using OP's concern as an out for the movies.
Yeah.
Like, she could have just canceled the movies, period, and
Mm-hmm.
explained it's how the students, because of how the students are acting.
Yeah.
So,
Everyone has bad days, and sometimes people make bad judgments, right? And it's does seem like from what OP is saying that she was looking for an out because of these kids and didn't want to deal with the kids anymore, right? And maybe this is for the best, because if it doesn't work like as an incentive like she wants, then it doesn't work, right? She just needed to be, I think, actually use it as the incentive that she needed to, and say,
mm-hmm,
if there's no reinstating it at this point in
mm-hmm,
time, right? So the fact is that she kind of made her own bed here, and didn't learn how to actually hold them to their feet to the fire. She just wanted to reward them, and they, even if they were misbehaving and stuff like that. So, or just don't tie it to behavior at all. That way they either behave or don't behave, and you just send them to the principal if they're misbehaving, right?
mm-hmm.
But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Buying a Treat for My Oldest Daughter, but Not for Her Younger Brother and Sister? I'm a 39-year-old male, and my wife is a 40-year-old female, and we have 3 children, a 10-year-old female, an 8-year-old male, and a 7-year-old female. A few afternoons ago, our oldest had a dentist appointment, and I agreed to take her while my wife took care of the other 2. Our oldest has always struggled with the dentist. Her mother and I have worked with her on this, and we found a dentist who is really good with kids who are afraid of going to the dentist. She did really well this time, easily the most smooth experience that we've ever had there. Since she did so well, I decided to reward her on the way home. So I went to Culver's drive-thru and I bought her a shake, and I got one for myself as well. When we got home, my 2 other children began to complain that they didn't get any ice cream, saying that it was unfair. I told them that this was just how things worked out for this day, that their sister had to go through something unpleasant, but that she had done a good job, and that next time I had either of them out for something similar, that they would probably get a treat as well. Later, however, when it was just the 2 of us, my wife told me that she thought that it looked as if I was playing favorites, that of course the other 2 kids would object, and that I should have brought treats for everyone. I don't agree. I think that it's fine for our kids to realize that just because one kid gets something doesn't always mean that they all have to. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk, as long as OP does hold to it and gets the other kids treats for going to the dentist too. Now, some people would say that OP and the daughter could have just finished their shakes elsewhere and then the others wouldn't have had to know. But I don't honestly think there's anything wrong with letting kids know that if you do something scary, then you can get a treat for it.
Yeah, I mean, I think that hiding it would have probably been worse,
Mm-hmm.
especially if it came out later, because then it would certainly look like OP was playing favorites,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if OP wasn't playing favorites before, it certainly would give that impression then. I think that OP's right that kids can be rewarded separately, and I do think though that maybe the reward system hasn't been implemented up until this time, and so the other kids may feel cheated about not getting a reward. So if they went to the dentist before and never got anything, they didn't get something. This is a tricky situation, right? I think that it's fine to explain to children in a age appropriate way that your sister did something that was really brave that she wouldn't normally have been able to do, and we wanted to reward her for this, right? And we're not trying to single you out or anything like that. It can be difficult because kids want to be treated as well, right? And when one kid gets a treat, they kind of all want treats. But in the same way that one kid might get a birthday and the other kids don't, you have to learn that sometimes there are days that are more positive for another of their siblings, right? So it's difficult. It's a really fine line. And I mean, as long as they are rewarding all the children for being brave or doing other things that they are unpleasant, then it's going to be, I think, fine. But if they aren't, then it's going to look like favorites. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Chris Temis says, you're the jerk partly for taking the shakes home, but mainly for telling your kids that the sister was rewarded for doing something unpleasant. Teaching them to be scared of the dentist isn't clever, and teaching all of them that they should be rewarded for doing basic necessities is setting up long-term problems. And OP replies, I saw it as more rewarding her for overcoming her fear, but I'll take your point.
I mean, I do want to talk to that point a little bit in that I think the first commenter is just completely wrong in that it's by giving her a reward, it kind of reassociates it with a positive experience. And we're talking about children here,
Mm-hmm.
you know, for kids, it's important to help, it can be helpful, you know, with overcoming anxiety to have some kind of like it's about rewiring your brain. You know, if your brain always associates the dentist with pain and scary
Mm-hmm.
and bad things, then it gets really hard to go to the dentist. But if you slowly replace those negatives, like, yeah, maybe there'll still be some pain and uncomfortableness, but you also got this reward for doing it, it can actually help rewire the brain so that the dentist isn't scary anymore and you don't need rewards anymore.
Yeah. And Fennel National 3572 says, you're the jerk. You could have just as easily gotten the other two a treat as well. You did seem to be playing favorites. You have to see it from her younger brothers and sisters' points of view. I'm going to make a wild guess and say that the younger two aren't biologically yours because instead of calling them your children, you called them the younger brother and sister. So of course you're not seeing anything wrong with what you did. And OP replies, no, all three are my kids. I mean, that was kind of a wild assumption for that
Mm-hmm.
commenter to make.
Yeah. Well, and the one thing I don't like about the idea of rewarding everyone, you know, when one kid has a dentist appointment is if it's based on like how brave you are, then if the daughter had a really hard time and didn't get a reward, which I don't necessarily think is a good way to go about it, then the other kids will like put even more pressure on her to be good at the dentist or something like that, and that builds another layer of anxiety onto it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a really tricky situation, and I feel bad for OP because I think this was a good deed that kind of is going punished a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
And Alicia Brown Sugar says, not a jerk. I agree. They need to learn one day that not everything one person gets, they do as well. Are you giving them presents on others' birthdays too, just so that they don't throw a fit? I kind of hate that. They are old enough to learn the answer is no. You can't always get what you want, and you can't always get what someone else gets. You probably should have stayed out and finished the shake since you got one for yourself too, though. And not just the kids. You didn't go through a hard situation. But I don't think that makes you a jerk for treating a kid for doing well. I did actually consider that as well, like him getting a treat for himself. I think maybe if she had been the only one to come home with a shake, it might have been a little easier for the other kids to accept.
Oh no, it would not have been, I don't think. I mean, as
Hmm.
someone who was a child, like, not as if you weren't, but like, you know.
I grew up backwards. I started off as an old man, and I'm working my way. So this is my new phase.
But like, you know, I don't think like kids have some concept that adults can buy things for themselves with their own money. Whether or not
Hmm.
OP should have, like, I feel like it wouldn't change the siblings' idea that it's unfair that they didn't get anything.
It might not have. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
What might you call it if a couple played Scrabble to determine their future child's moniker?
Oh, I would probably call them very boring.
It could be called a name game.
Oh, it could be, but I would still just call them boring. No one plays Scrabble to find their child's name. No one. And I mean that, and I say that as the rule of the internet.
And today is Learn What Your Name Means Day. So, do you know what your name means?
Yes, it means rock.
My name means precious jewel.
Like mine's just literally rock or strength. I mean, it does have the strength association, but I kind of wanted to downplay it so that I could just be like a rock. So,
I
yeah.
got a rock.
Yeah. Mine's the kind you throw through a window. Yours is the kind you wear on a ring.
Yep. It's also equal pay day. So,
So go find someone to rob and make sure you get paid equally.
no. The point of equal pay day is that this is the point in the year where, a woman's salary on average equals what a man would have earned in a year. So like a year plus 3 months
Mm.
essentially.
Oh,
But and of course this is just an average, and it also varies by race. So you'll see like different equal pay days throughout the year relating to this. So
yes. So like I said, go rob somebody.
no robbing people.
And I have licorice spice. Legally, I have to tell you that my lawyer, who I totally consulted about this, tells me that I can't tell you to rob people.
Am I your lawyer now?
All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy wonderful Wednesday, Hump Day, Friday, Junior's Eve. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it a haiku for Haiku Wednesday.
Life can still be fair, even if treats aren't given to every child.
I think that works. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.